Hello Internet, Austin Smith here, also known as Represent717, with a review of the Lamy Safari fountain pen in charcoal. This is the, I think it was originally supposed to be a limited edition, but it is definitely not a limited edition. It is a standard Safari fountain pen that you can get at the moment. But first, we're going to look at the box. Really simple. It's a box that says Lamy. It's got some holes in it for some reason. Or slits rather than straight up holes. Don't know what that's about. Open up the box, and inside is a warranty card and this thing where the pen originally slotted over that. Other than that, there's nothing to talk about. It's an interesting box. An interesting box. It's alright. Not the best box I've seen, not the worst. Fairly inexpensive pen though. So it's fine for what it is, or for the pen it is containing. It's not supposed to be a super nice fancy box, although some inexpensive pens do have super nice fancy boxes, which is interesting. Anyway, take a look at the pen. The top has a weird screwdriver or Phillips screw shaped design. I don't know why that's there. As far as I know, it doesn't actually come undone, and I honestly don't like the look of it. Got a clip here. Clip's really weird. Again, I don't really like the look of it, but it holds very well. As you can see, it's very tight, but it's also very easy to slip into a pocket or whatever. It works really well. Not too up on the aesthetics of it, but I always figure that if something works really well, I don't care what it looks like. The barrel is pretty standard, although it does have like a bit of a flattened area, as you can see here. The sides are round. There's a little ink window there, which isn't as helpful as it seems, but it is kind of helpful. It says Lamy here. You can actually arrange it so that it Lamy aligns with the nib, or Lamy does not align with the nib, depending on how you screw it on. Taking the cap off, you see a nib. This is a fairly standard Lamy nib. I believe it's on all Lamy pens that are not the Lamy 2000, which is their super expensive, I believe, only piston filling pen. So yeah, you get the feed there, which most of the feed is inside the section itself, so you don't see any fins or anything. It's just kind of a bit of plastic jutting out that gives it a nice sleek look, although I think I might actually prefer the look of the fins. The nib and feed do come out, although I haven't been able to take the feed out of this particular pen. I didn't want to break it, and it is really hard to get out. The nib is fairly easy to take off and swap out with other nibs. This one happens to be a medium. It says medium and Lamy on it. There's a little breather hole and a nib slit there. The grip is fairly interesting. It's a bit of a triangular holding grip. It's kind of fits in there. This grip is not for everyone. My brother tried it and he does not like it at all. I quite like it. After a while, it does make my hand start to cramp a little bit just because of the way you end up squeezing on it, but I also like small pens to write with, and they make my hand cramp up a little bit after a while too. So I like small things for short writing sessions, and this one makes a very nice small grip. Your fingers slip right in there, and it makes sense when holding it. It's not the best in the world. Does post, and it does post in any direction. Doesn't really matter. Posts deeply and securely, and doesn't really overbalance the pen, or overbalance is not a word. It doesn't really unbalance the pen, just because it's made of plastic and it's hard to hard for plastic caps to really, especially ones that post that deeply, to really disturb the balance of the pen. Unscrewing the body, we get a Lamy cartridge that came with the pen. This is just Lamy blue inside here. I got the converter with it, and I used that for a while. And I figured I have this one Lamy cartridge, I might as well use it in my one Lamy pen, so that I don't have extra cartridges just kind of sitting around. I don't really like cartridges, but I don't like cartridges sitting around with ink in them either. So I figure I have the cartridge, I might as well use it. And like I said, you have to be careful which way you put it on so that the Lamy lines up with the nib. For instance, if I were to do what I think would line Lamy up with the nib. Well, it does. Okay. Of course, when I'm actually on video, I'll never be able to show you this in a million years. Nope. Okay, doesn't matter. Who cares? No one actually cares that you can put it on the other way. Yeah, so there's the pen. It's a nice pen. It's a pretty big pen. Here is a old Schaefer school pen. That's a fairly normal size pen. Here is a Sharpie that's got 2 ends on it. I mean, it's fairly normal size barrel and section wise, but the cap is quite large. I don't fully understand why it is as big as it is. Here is a Pilot Metropolitan, and as you can see at its widest point, the Pilot Metropolitan is as wide as half of the Safari, and but it does taper down to something that is about, well, 3/4 of the size of the smaller bit of the Safari. Anyway, that's not really terribly pertinent. But there's a quick size comparison among fairly similarly sized pens. Anyway, I will pause the video here for a second and then come back with a writing sample. Okay, we're back and writing with the Lamy Safari in a medium with Lamy blue as the ink. Let's do some writing real quick. Why is the quick brown fox jumping over the lazy dog? I will never know, but it contains all of the letters in the Latin alphabet, and as such is one of the most useful sentences I can write. Let's write a little bit faster. I'm not even going to write because I don't like writing fast, so I'm just going to scribble. The feed keeps up. It's nice. Pretty good. There's a bit of feedback here, even though this is a medium nib, but I think that's just a Lamy thing. It's not the most expensive of nibs either, so the amount of feedback for the price is actually pretty good. I don't expect it to be super smooth. It is fairly smooth, though. It's not particularly scratchy or anything, but you might be able to hear just a little bit of that, feedback. This one I actually find is a bit scratchier than some of the other Lamy nibs I've used. Lamy makes tons of nibs, and you can buy tons of replacement nibs, so if your nib is a bit scratchy, you can easily buy another one and swap it out. The nib offers no line variation whatsoever that isn't achieved by essentially leaving the nib on the paper for longer. If I keep leaving it here, obviously I'm going to get a wider line than anything else, but no line variation to speak of, so it's a very hard nib, the very German style nib, and a very German style grip, which is good because Lamy pens are made in Germany. Just draw a little guy here. What's he looking at? I don't know. He's looking at something. Looking over there. Anyway, it is really nice. Like I say, the grip can wear on you for a second, but the nib is not going to cause any problems when writing for continuous amounts of time. It lays down a lot of ink, or maybe not a lot, but it lays down a fair amount of ink, and from my experience, you can leave these out for almost a minute or so, and they will have no startup issues at all. I have not had any startup issues with this pen. So, for the price, it does feel a bit plasticky, but that's because it's all made of plastic. But it's a rugged pen, solid pen, writes really well, very good, as many people have said before, entry class fountain pen. And yeah, bye.